recording. All right, let's go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to your to your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast with me, your host, General Prime. I got that one wrong because you know what? You know what? I got that one wrong because yeah, I'm a little bit intoxicated. First of all, happy new month. Today is the second. I didn't. Yesterday was supposed to be April Fool's Day, but I don't think anybody did any like. I didn't see a lot of April Fools. Like, okay, yeah. On the 31st was my brother's birthday, and I think he did like. He's the only one I saw that made an April Fool's joke. Dude is like a fucking fuck boy, man. And then everybody saw him with a girl yesterday, like fucking. As in the picture was like he proposed. What? What the fuck was that? Turns out it was a fucking April Fool's Day joke. But the world is too serious right now. From everything that can be observed, the world is too serious for people to make April Fool's jokes. Nobody's smiling, nobody's laughing, nobody's like joking, nobody's playing because like everything is tough in like it's like the attack is coming from every angle, like from one problem to another, from frying pan to fire. Like everybody's just on edge, everyone is just apprehensive. But that's not what I want to talk about because that's part of life. That has always happened in many forms and many ways and many like it's always happened. Like there's problems will never end. It's like what are we going to do if we didn't have like problems in this world? Like what then would be the purpose of man? I feel like I know I'm always like giving or I'm always talking about purpose all the time and like trying to like talk about. So at this point now I've come up with like 10 unique purpose, man's purpose, like cosmic purpose. But now the one I want to talk about now is like man's purpose right now is like to solve problems, I think. But because imagine a world where there are no problems. Like imagine, I know we always like to talk about life not being fair or life like being too hard and being difficult and unbearable and nihilistic and just why the fuck are we here, right? I know that's how it seems like, but we always complain about it naturally. But try to imagine a world where like try to imagine heaven basically. You know how like Christians or religious people always paint heaven like this place where like there is no problem, like there is no death, there's no sickness, your loved ones will be there and everything will be fine, like what we call a utopia basically, right? So but just imagine that for a second. Imagine that you're living in a place like this fairy tale land where there is absolutely no concept of problem, right? Just imagine that for a second. What then are you going to do? Like, are you, as in the very nature of man is one that has evolved to be infinitely problem solving. Like what do people like what do people even do in heaven? Like you're just going to be there. First of all, like the Bible never says that everybody's going to enjoy in heaven. Bible talks about that people in heaven will worship God forever and ever and ever and ever. Like there's not going to be night. You understand? There's not going to be night and there's not going to be day because the light of God will like overcome everything and there'll be light all the time and people and you guys will worship God, praise God day as in forever, infinite ad infinitum. It's like, what the fuck is that? That means you're not human. Like that means you're not conscious again. You're now like one part of a fucking wheel that like of a bigger machine that serves something. Like I know we can try to understand praise and worship as this. I don't know. We like to conceptualize it as this ritual that we give to entities, right? But what if the Bible or the writers of the Bible, if everything that is being envisioned in the Bible is actually going to happen. Like if there is actually a heaven, right? What if praise and worship is a metaphor for something else? Like, okay, let's imagine that God is like this alien entity, right? And but we mere humans, we intelligent apes, we have come to like conceptualize this alien entity and then regard it as God, right? And so part of our servitude to this God is so-called praise and worship. Meanwhile, from the perspective of this God, is like you guys are just like chicken hatching eggs, and for this proverbial, or should I say proverbial chicken hatching proverbial eggs, because or should I say just something that is producing something that this entity will find beneficial or useful for something else that we might not even know about. I don't know if I'm making sense. So let's assume that that's what, because okay, basically that's what heaven from the Bible actually is going to be. Not actually the place where everybody, not actually a utopia, right? So then what then is the purpose of man? Like, what are you going to do with your time? Like, what are you going to be doing? Do you understand? What are you going to be like? We have seen movies where, like, for example, now this movie with Harry Styles and that mean lady, right? The movie that came out last year, I've forgotten the name right now, where they were living in this kind of from what I know. Okay, wait, I've forgotten the name of the movie. Wait, let's look it up. Let's just look it up. Harry Styles movie. I just want to know the name. Yeah, Don't Worry Darling, with what's her name, Florence Pugh, and the other mean lady, I've forgotten her fucking name. So anyway, in the movie they're living in this like utopia, right? They're living in this kind of artificial utopia. And from, if anybody that has read the book 1984, I always talk about the book, right? Anybody that has read the book and knows about how, like, knows like the way Oceania is built, and know the names like the victory, like everything is victory gin or victory cigarette or victory apartment, like everything, like. But and then in the movie Don't Worry Darling, like I saw like kind of hints of that, like they are trying to like build, the movie actually is them trying to build whatever it is that the men always want, as in whatever it was that the men always left the house every morning to go and do, was they were like trying to build Oceania. That was my perception. But yeah, anyway, a utopia basically. So but at the end of the day, right, everybody got bored. Like it cannot stand unless everybody is like an automaton, like or how do they pronounce it, automaton, with my Nigerian accent. Unless that is the case, right, then I don't think that man with his consciousness and his drive to solve problems and his like willpower and his like as in um um I've forgotten the word I want to use now. I don't think that with all of that, that we're just going to allow ourselves to live in utopia, in this utopia forever, because we'll get bored quickly. You understand? So to bring it back to everything that I've been talking about for, I don't even know if I'm recording. Am I recording? Yeah. Okay. To bring it back to everything that I've talked about for like 9 minutes now, and back to also, as in back to this our proverbial suffering, right? This our existential crisis. I understand, like I understand that things are hard, but but I see the hardest thing, the worst thing that has ever happened to you is the worst thing that will ever, as in the worst thing that has ever happened to you is the worst thing that has ever happened to you. It could be worse, and for some people it's worse than others. Like there's this documentary I was watching about this place in Africa. What's the name of this country? Burundi, the poorest country in the world, bruh. God, Jesus Christ, these niggas are poor. Fucking it, bro. They don't even, what's Burundi? They are poor. As in, when I was watching the documentary, I was like, are they just highlighting parts of this country to make it seem like this country is just hopeless. Like, are they just like, you know how all these people that make documentaries, they like to be picky and then like tell one-sided story. Like, for example, now the Tiger King, turns out, what is that fucking name? um Carol Baskin didn't kill her husband after all. I think they found him like late last year somewhere in one of the South American countries. Turns out she didn't kill her husband. So all these writers and directors like telling one-sided biased stories, like to form a narrative and like, I don't know, like to paint a particular picture that and then show to the audience. So that was what I thought that they were doing, like with the documentary. But I don't think it was, because bro, these people, they are poor. They're just them. They're, as in, they are poorer than poor, and yet there are people within them that are better off, than others. It's like it's a spectrum. Like hardship is a spectrum. For some people, the hardest thing they'll ever do in their life is like try cereal for the first time. What the fuck? It's like there are people, bro. Well, let me not even go. Let me not even go into that much. So yeah, at the end of the day, just, I don't know, just take it, as in try your best to solve the problem, because I don't know where am I even going with this. What I want to talk about today is, as in, there's something I always think about, right? There's something I always think about. As in, what's the highest good that you have ever done for somebody? Like, try to imagine the highest good you ever do for somebody. It's like the highest good you ever do for somebody, as in, can it get to you like giving dashing somebody $20 million? Like, as in, what is the highest form of good that man will ever like achieve? The highest form of good that man will ever achieve. That, as in, it's like the as in the top of the top, the best, the if there was a god, right? If there was a god, even if you killed like, even if you after that you went ahead to kill like 50,000 people, that good that you did will still surpass you killing 50,000 people. Like, that's the kind of good I'm talking about, right? So what can it be? As in, what can it be? I don't know. So I think the best thing that we can do is just to love, right? It's just to love. I don't know. The best thing that we can do is just to like love, as in wholeheartedly, like genuinely, right? And that is the peak. That is the peak of it. There is no other thing that we can do again. Like, what is greater than love, right? What is greater than love? Do you understand? Like, I like to think that love, and because love cannot work without hope, right? And what is greater than that? Because I don't know if you can remember this this show on Netflix, Sandman, right? When he was battling with Lucifer, and then like the battle was kind of not even like physical; it was kind of like a metaphorical. Just imagine a metaphorical battle, where a metaphorical battle with consequences. Basically, I don't know if you've seen Sandman, you understand what I'm talking about. So when he was almost defeated, and then the next card, metaphorical card that he was I am going to throw. I'm spoiling it for anybody that haven't seen it, but that's on you. That's on you. So, the highest that he could, his trump card was hope. So, yeah, at the end of the day, the highest thing that man will ever do is to love, right? Good, that has been established. Now, what is the highest form of evil? Like, what is the highest form of evil that man can ever commit? Just think of that. It's like, yes, okay, on this other hand, the best thing that man will ever do, it is possible to get to the best thing. It is possible to explain and understand and know and have knowledge of the best thing that man can ever do. It's just like farther than his potential. Do you understand? It is possible. It's like you getting to the point of before the Big Bang. Do you understand? It's like somebody going so back in time that he's able to like for example now, if the James Webb telescope now can look so far back into time and figure out how the Big Bang came to be, and probably figure out what was before that. Like that would be a game changer, right? So the game changer of man's potential to do good is like it ends at man being able to love, right? We got to that point, but try to imagine the level of evil that man that man is, like as in man is as in humanly or inhumanly able to commit, because like what other adjective can I use to describe that? It's like, did I get that right? I don't know. So as in it is infinity. Like the kind of evil that man can commit has no, like there's no topic, like it has no cap. It just keeps going. Do you understand? It just keeps expanding, because this is what I usually think about, right? We know stories that we've heard of, like mind blowing stories that no, like that no Hollywood writer can figure out, right? Of man being cruel to his fellow man. Do you understand? We've heard of a lot of stories, and sometimes when you feel like you've heard it all, like when you feel like, bro, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Do you understand? Something else comes to top it. I don't know, as in when you're hearing or when you're seeing man's inhumanity to man, as in something else comes to top it. It's like there's this I don't know if you wait, I don't know if you've heard of Carl Sagan's. I mean, he was a very, everybody knows that he was a very famous intelligent scientist, right? And also, I don't know, great. He's a fucking great thinker, man. So where was I? In his famous pale blue dot speech, right? There's this part of the speech that always gets me. Anytime I read it, like anytime I read it, or like when I think about it, and then I just say, okay, let me just read, because I have it in my phone, and I say, let me just read it. It gets me every single time, and I don't know why. Like he said a lot. He said a lot in that speech, but this particular one gets me all the time. It's like he goes, think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. It's like, then he now says, think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstanding, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatred. It's like nobody could have put it better. Nobody could have said it better than how he said it. It's like, as in, just think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they can become the momentary master. Do you know how? do you know how? Like, do you know how in the grand scheme of things, if we are calculating time, do you know how infinitesimally short we have existed on this planet, in this universe? Like, we have not existed that long. We are still very young. Our planet is just a mere 4.5 billion years, mere small in the vast system of things. Like, as in, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Don't Look Up. It's like an asteroid, like a giant fucking asteroid, can come and wipe out this planet, and like nothing it's like nothing will change in the universe. That's how small we are. It's like, I don't know why I always belittle our humanity. I don't know why I always belittle humanity. I don't know. It's like things have, as in, I'm so angry with humanity that any chance I get, I can just like quaff humanity, like yab humanity, because why? What? Everything has to be mocked. You understand? There has to be you have to find the grand comedy in everything, because in, is it Greek mythology? Sorry, yeah, Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, as in, everything that happen is happening to us. Everything that is happening to us is for the amusement of the gods. Do you understand? So that's why they call it the grand comedy. So that like our penury and our suffering is is reality TV for the gods. Do you understand? This is how intelligent these people were back then. But I don't want to divert. So this is how tiny, this is how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things. But yet in our insignificance, we still find a way to just be to keep inventing new ways to like to fuck to fuck with one another. Do you understand? Like in my previous episode, I was talking about our purpose on this in this world is to suck it to the next is to suck it to the next guy. That's why there are people in this that's why there are people in this world with $400 billion. Jesus Christ. This guy, what is his name? The owner of Amazon. Why as in why is his name just being blank in my mind? The owner of Amazon, what is his name? This fucking weird looking guy. Oh god, I don't like. Well, my phone my phone listens to me all the time, so why not owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos? Yes, thank you. What? How did I just forget? So imagine Jeff Bezos yacht. This guy's yacht is so big that they had to dismantle a bridge so that the yacht can pass. Like there are people with that much amount of money, and then there is Burundi. Jesus Christ. And then there is Burundi. It's like he can buy Burundi 5 times over. You understand? The level of sucking it to the next guy, right? Is like it's unattainable. We cannot imagine it. Like we keep inventing more ways to suck it to the next guy. And one of the ways we used to suck it to the next guy is through like, as in, should I say, just as in pure evil. Just pure evil. But you know, another thing again is that at the end there's this saying I came up with, and I always say, at the end of the day, we are just all organisms doing organisms shit. You understand? I don't know if it's an intelligent quote, or I don't know if it's like if it's going to, I don't know where it's going to go, but at the end of the day, we're just organisms, right? We're just like every other organism on this planet, just being different. You understand? So like variety is the spice of life. I always talk about it. So in one organism, their thing can be changing color. In another organism, their thing can be suspending in air, aka flying. In another organism, their thing can be seen in the night and stuff like that, and being like apex predators. And then in another organism, their thing can be intellect and consciousness, then a higher consciousness. But then also everything, like every trait comes with like consequences, like, right? So there has to be balance. So and then the consequence of us being intellectual and conscious is just having the ability to dish out like fucked up evil. You know, like there's a difference between something is fucked up and something like, bro, you fucked up. Like there's a difference between, bro, that's fucked up, man. Like when you hear something, someone tells you something, and then you're like, man, that's fucked up. And then there's and between that and then being evil, you understand? And then but then for something to be fucked up evil, you know that it's really fucked up. Like Twitter is just like a cesspool of like people just being bad towards each other. People just being like, you've seen videos of people being decapitated. You've seen like I'm talking about myself. I've seen videos of people being decapitated. I've seen videos of like people's, as in there's this video I saw on YouTube. I always talk about it, right? Where, not YouTube, sorry, on Facebook, where like a long line of people were tied and then were dragged, and there's this big giant massive grave, and then there's a guy, or not even a grave, like a hole, a pit, a big giant pit, and then there's a guy standing or like on the just at the precipice of the pit holding a knife. Then he calls in the first person he comes, the guy kneels down, he slashes his neck and pushes him into the hole. And those people were like deliberately and willfully what? Like willfully just going towards him and for their necks to be cut. I saw the video on Facebook and he fucked with me for a while, right? But then I thought that was the worst thing that I'll ever see, and that was the worst thing that like I'll ever see man doing to his fellow man. Nope, nope. There was this one time like a few years ago where there were xenophobic attacks on Nigerians by South Africans, right? And then there's this video where I saw where a South African man was gouging out with his thumbs, gouging out the eyes of like who I assume would be a Nigerian. It's like where they were like beating the fuck out of some Nigerians and planking them to their brains exploded. That was that was fucked up. Like that was fucking fucked up. What South Africans did to Nigerians, and those things were like, to me, that was like the worst of it. And nope, not even close. So as in the bar kept getting higher and higher, and every day I'll see things that like are more fucked up than, and it's like, oh, you've not even seen the worst of it. Like I don't think that there'll ever be a worst of it. Like nah, it keeps getting higher. And to me right now, at the moment where I am, the highest that it is right now is what I want to talk about today. It's like we know that during World War II, the Jews did some fucked up things to the Jews did some sorry, not the Jews, sorry, what the fuck am I talking about? But by the way, let me just by the way, I completed my 30-day 100 push-up, 100 push-up, 100 sit-up challenge. I I completed my 100 push-up, 100 sit-up, 50 squats, no alcohol, no sugar, 30-day challenge. I completed it yesterday, and also, sorry, I forgot to add no smoking 30-day challenge. Right, I completed it. When I say smoking, I mean like weed, not cigarettes, obviously. So, I completed it yesterday, and I'm still going to. I thought to myself like, why don't I just continue this? Like, I'm getting better. Like, it's getting easier. I even want to like, extend it to like 200 push-ups a day, and discipline myself because I know I'm disciplined enough to like follow it up, and I did it, and I do it all the time. So yeah, I was thinking of, okay, why don't I just continue doing it, right? So it's like, all right, but by then I'd already like bought weed, and yeah, so I was like, shit. Today is the second. Yesterday was the first. Today is the second. It's like, okay, well, let me just like smoke it. It's a Sunday, so why not, right? So here we are. Me, I'm high. You can probably tell, because I've been ranting and like just being like doing it as in having just what in my own meaning of fun, right? For my personality, for someone with my personality, that's what I mean. So yeah, if you can tell I'm high, kudos. So back to what I was saying, right? I want to talk about like the worst thing presently, the worst thing that I have ever heard. It's like there's this book I was reading, the theory and practice of what is the name of the book? The Theory and Practice of Evil. Let me check mine. Yeah, just remember it. The Theory and Practice of Hell. That's the name of the book. It's about the fucked up things that the Nazis did to the Jews. It's like the fucked up thing that the Nazis did to the Jews. Like, I don't even want to like get into it because what the fuck? Like, bruh, damn. Anyway, if what I'm just talking about right now, like we're talking about this book I read, The Theory and Practice of Hell, if it's getting to me, then I don't even know how I'm going to feel when I when I say what it is that I actually want to talk about. It's like, okay, yeah, the theory and practice of hell. I didn't know that it's good. As in, I didn't know that thinking of it right now in my present state is going to like bring in that emotion of the things I read. Um, but anyway, the Nazis did some fucked up things to the Jews. That's basically what I'm talking about. Um, and then I mean I've okay, see, I've read like not a lot of books about World War II. I don't know why I'm fascinated with like World War II and the war that went and stuff that happened. So usually I come across usually mostly about things that uh, stories from the Nazi perspective, and then from the Jewish and the Polish and all, like all that. I just love the whole lore of World War II. Do you understand? And I always read books about it. So I was reading about this book by what's his name again? What? Victor Frankl. What the fuck? Did I get it right? Man's Search for Meaning. Wait, let me look it up. Man's Search for Meaning, author. Alright, hold on. Man's come through Google. Who is the author of Man's Search for Meaning? Viktor Frankl. Yeah, I got it right. Yeah. So, the book he wrote called Man's Search for Meaning, and he was talking about his experience in Nazi concentration camp, and the things that he was talking about, and also like all, in fact, all the books that I've read about the things that Nazis did, right? They're just fascinating, and as in they blow my mind all the time, and as in their atrocities. Okay, I've read books, I've seen movies, I've watched cartoons, and like, I don't know. I've just been so interested, and documentaries also. I've just been so interested with all that stuff. And maybe what I'm looking for is like I'm trying to see the worst thing that man, because this stuff I usually think of it all the time, and I think that I subconsciously look for the worst thing that man can ever do to his fellow man, and I keep getting so it's like a drug and addiction. I don't know if I'm going to call it that, because why will I always watch beheading videos, and why will I always watch um ISIS prisoners being run over with tanks, and like their heads chopped, and them like them pushed from, like, why do I always watch I don't know, why do I always watch that stuff? Like, why do I always find them, and why do I always talk about them? That's that's another question I'm asking myself right now. Why do you always watch that stuff, bro? It's like, what are you trying to like gain from it? What do you want it to do for you? Why would you want to watch somebody being rolled, listen, being crushed by a tank? Why will you look for the video of those Afghan refugees falling off a plane, and then finding the video and seeing, and then being captivated by how a body that fell from a plane and landed on concrete would look like? Why does that do it for you? What what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? So anyway, this is what I suspect, but nah, I just snapped out of it, and that's not true. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so this is what I always look for, right? And um I came across this book. It's like I've heard of it before. I heard of it one time, but I didn't really like give it that much attention until then I heard of it again. I was like, oh, this book, I've heard of it before. Okay, let me download it and read it. It's like then I read the book, bro. The name of the book is The Rape of Nanking, bro. I I don't even know how to start. I don't even know how to start, bro. The Rape of Nanking is about, the book basically is presently right now is it has stopped for now, I hope, it has stopped. It has That is the highest. I think I've gotten to it. Do you understand? Like, I think I've finally reached the end of what I believe man can do. What I believe man can do to his fellow man in terms of being evil. Do you understand? I think that is it. We have gotten to the end, bro. The rape of Nanking basically tells the story of what Japan did to the people of the city of Nanking, China's former capital, from 1936 to 1945. So how many years is that? Wait, 9 years. It's like, imagine. Okay, I always talk about. See, bro, my favorite book still remains 1984, right? This is what see. Imagine in the book 1984, right? When Winston was talking with O'Brien, and I think O'Brien, I've forgotten what I'm too high to remember what they were talking about, right? But then O'Brien was like, okay, the O'Brien was talking about why other lovers of power, like in every civilization that has failed ever. Do you understand why they always fail? It's because they forget the point. You understand? The point of Big Brother is not the point of Big Brother. He was saying that, imagine a boot stomping on somebody's face forever and ever and ever and ever. That is like Big Brother's. That's like Big Brother's intention. You understand? That is what he wants. Like, fuck your love, fuck your fear. He just wants to that is it. Do you understand? So just imagine that. That is what these Chinese people must have felt like. And in the book, it talks about, like I said before, it talks about what the Japanese people did to the Chinese people. And the story is so captivating and so intriguing, and so, like, I read it already twice, and the story is just mad. You understand? It's so unbelievable. Like, it's so unbelievable. It's like it comes back to itself. Like, it's so unbelievable that you believe it. You'll be like, nah, I don't think this kind of thing can ever, like, anybody, like a writer, no matter how talented you are, can ever come up with something like this. Like, imagine George R.R. Martin's, right? And he has written like series of books, like Bible thick books, series of them, for the Game of Thrones story. You understand? Look at how detailed and look at how, like, interesting, and imagine how, like, as in talented he must be as a writer to come up with something like that. But yet nobody will ever come up with the kind of drama that happens in real life. Like, it would be, the story is so unbelievable that you have no choice. Imagine something being so unbelievable that you have no choice to believe it. You understand? Like, it can't not be. It can't not be, as in, believable. You understand? It can't not, like, can you believe that 1 + 1 is 3? No, like, 1 + 1 is 2. That is it. As in, that is just it. That is the truth. So, in the book, right? I'm not going to, from what I understand in the book, I'm not going to say that the Chinese people were cowards, because in the book it talks about how the Chinese army was a lot more larger than the Japanese army, and the Japanese army were like, one of the soldiers, in his diary, he was talking about how he loathed them, and he was like disgusted with them, that their army just cowardly gave up without trying to, like, put up a fight, without trying to, like, fight the Japanese people. They just gave up. And it talks about how the Chinese generals were like cowardly, assigning fucking roles to people that they knew were not competent enough to, like, take on those roles, and they were just like running helter skelter, and they were not organized. as in they were not organized at all, like from what I understand in the book. And yet at yes, at one point in time they were like they fought valiantly. And even when some of them were abandoning the battle and then running away, there were others that were shooting them, like shooting their own should I say teammates, shooting their own squad just because they are running away. Like, yet it happened. It happened. It happened. I'm not going to like deny that. But then again, the fact that they gave up, they gave up so easily that it made the Chinese people even it made the Japanese people even hate them more and loot them more, and even were even more cruel to them, like to the point that they were even hunting them in neutral zone areas, like in DMZs. You understand? Demilitarized zones. That's what it means, right? Yes. So the Chinese army, they gave up very very easily. Like they stopped fighting, and then because they believed that the Japanese people would like treat them respectfully and be kind to them, and some of them even preferred that they were ruled by the Japanese. Do you understand? And but at the end of the day, another reason why they gave up was because the Japanese military were a lot more sophisticated than theirs. You understand? They had planes and stuff. Meanwhile, the Chinese army didn't have planes. And at the end of the day, the army were so much that the Japanese people were like, all these people that we have captured, well, how are we going to feed all of them? You understand? So they start asking the question of how are they going to feed all these POWs now? And well, the logical, in fact, even me, I don't know if I'm going to sound like a bad person if I say even me as a reader and even me as me, you understand? I was like, yeah, that is the logical thing to do. Like, it makes more sense, right? Because think of it, if you know that you make, I've not yet made my point though, I just want to like give an example. If you know that you make like 50,000 naira a month or 50,000 naira a month, will you, they always say cut your coat according to your size, right? Will you want to like buy a 200 million naira SUV? Will you want to like cut, as in, will you like want to, unless you're stupid, right? Unless you're stupid, then you'll be like biting more than you can chew, or spending more than you make. You understand? Unless you want to like keep up with the Joneses, do you understand? Then you'll be doing that, right? So you never like bite more than you can chew. We always cut our coats according to our size, right? So you won't want to like have a lot of children, because that would be like more mouths to feed, maybe one or two. You understand? And you will not, as in, you just do as much as you can do, basically. Then, so that's the same logic I am using for, because there are a lot of POWs. Why don't we kill them? Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Why don't we kill like all of them? Then we won't have to deal with like enemies, and also we won't have to deal with the whole global tibo of like feeding them. You understand? So we cannot release them, because if we release them, they will go back and regroup and come back and fight us, right? And we don't have enough food to feed them, and slavery is illegal. So let's kill them. Okay, that's the logical thing to do, obviously. Because why I say it's the logical thing to do, I'm not saying this because maybe I'm kind of like fucked up in the head or something. I'm just telling you, I just want to like make my point. Why it is the logical thing to do is because the reason why we have slavery is because we needed more hands on the field. There's this book I was reading. There's this book I've read. Why? I've talked about it before anyway. It's not like it's not like I've not. It's like I know I'm always calling books that I've read and stuff like that, because obviously, if for you to be able to know what you're talking about, you have to at least be a little bit, I don't know, familiar with something that can help you make your points easier, right? Make life easier for you, so you won't be like talking out of your ass. So there's this book I've read, uh the origin of the family, private property and the state. So in the book, um what is the guy's name that wrote it again? All these fucking Jewish people. No, I mean, I don't mean that. I'm not like Frederick Engels, right? Yeah, that's him. Where was I? So in the book, right, the origin of the family, the private property and state. In the book, he was talking about how um when tribes will go to war with one another, right? Like when one village you can fight another village, maybe because of piece of land or something. Um, they always killed them. Like when they captured POWs, they just killed them because they had what will you do if we like release you? You go back and regroup and come back and fight us, and we don't have enough food to feed. We don't have enough food for you, and we cannot keep you. Do you understand? They didn't have any concept of slavery back then because they felt like they had enough hands to help in the fields, right? Like maybe the man will have like three wives, and but okay, by then there was no monogamy. It was more of like polygamy. It was more of like a polyandry, because like, and group marriage and stuff like that. It was not, marriage was not the way it's presently is in our present day. Like it was a lot, like marriage had to like go through a series of changes before it came to be what we understand it to be today, and it's gradually changing again. So yeah, so that was how it was in their tribes. So there was enough people to do the work basically. And so whenever they went to war with another like village or another tribe, and they captured POWs, they killed them because they had no use for them. They had no concept of them needing you, as in needing them in the future. You understand? So because they didn't think that they would, as in they didn't even imagine that they would progress to the point where they would need more hands. But eventually they did. They progressed to the point where their farms got bigger, their cattle got larger, and so they were like they needed more hands. And so whenever they went to war again, and then they captured POWs, instead of killing them, they now turned them to slaves, and this was the birth of slavery. You understand? And then the reason why slavery ended was not because of the kind-heartedness of the fucking forefathers and Abraham Lincoln and George Washington and all the stuff that they did. No, the reason why slavery ended was because of the industrial age, where machines like symptoms, or I know they were not like as efficient of the machines that we currently have, but they were like the beginning of machinery. Do you understand? So when the beginning of machinery began to like rear its head, and then they saw that, oh, the more machines we have, the less mouths we need to feed, and consequently the less money we have to spend. You understand? That was why they decided to stop slavery. So no this and no peace. so so yeah, this is the point I was trying to make. The logical thing to do would be to like execute the POWs. I know it's fucked up, I know it's sad, I know it's evil, I know it's like immoral and inhumane and stuff, but it is sometimes logic, like truth. Truth does not care about your feelings. You understand? So that was what the Japanese people did. They started killing they started killing the prisoners. They were like, I know back then their guns, these are most, I think to mostly, is it M1A, right? I've forgotten the name of the rifle, but it had bayonets. Most of the weapons had, or most of their rifles, or should I say all of their rifles, had bayonets. So it was this transition between using swords in battle and using like firearms. And so that was like the middle of the transition where the two were like evenly merged. Like they were transitioning from using swords into using firearms. And that was like the time stamp in history. Do you know why I like smoking? It's because whenever I smoke, like I talk rubbish, rubbish. So, so they had bayonets on their rifles, And so and they even had swords. So what I'm saying actually makes sense. So they had swords and also bayonets and also rifles. So they were like they started beheading people. Like they started beheading soldiers, bro. It's like they will behead you, and they were like doing beheading. Imagine doing beheading competition. Like two of the soldiers were like, let's say you can reach up to 150 heads a day, bro. Just imagine, just imagine that kind of fucked up shit. Like they were even announcing it on the radio in Japan. That no, it was not on the radio. It was in the newspaper. That these people, like, they are now like almost one has already like beheaded like 80 people, and the other one has already beheaded like 78 people. So like they are almost neck and neck. No pun intended. Neck and neck in the race to like the race to reach 150 heads a day, bro. They were even celebrating it too. Just imagine that. Just imagine your bloodline. This is for people that this is for people that say they don't want to have children, right? Imagine your bloodline and then like trace it back to the beginning of time. So all those people had to like get through every adversity ever to be lucky enough to for you to exist in a time where things are not that good, things are not that bad, and then your payments to them is to say you're ending the bloodline with yourself. That's fucked up, man. That is the greatest evil ever. That is that is the greatest evil ever. I just got it too. I just got it. That is the greatest evil. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I got it. I don't know if this is the greatest evil. But what I'm trying to say is that just imagine that, and then imagine that you're a soldier, like you're a captured Chinese soldier in 1936, and your a sword is about to a sword is about to come down your neck, and your entire generation, right from the beginning of time, fought and fought and fought and evaded every beast, every dinosaur, every disease, every war, every injury, every sickness, everything, evaded everything and evaded everything for you to exist in that time, and all for you to end with a sword coming down your neck. That must be tiring. It's like, imagine that it's a video game, right? That must be tiring. Like, I don't know if you've seen if you can remember what's the name of that video in Rick and Morty, right? When Rick put him in that simulation where it was like where he lives an entirely different life. What's the name? I don't know. If you've seen the episode, you understand what I'm talking about. So that is just how I imagine it to be. That is basically how I imagine it to be. And so this is what they were doing to these people. They were like beheading people, and then there is the sub story where there is this guy that they managed, him and his neighbors managed to like hide in their apartment, and the way they hid themselves in their house is that they broke down the door and like sealed the space with bricks so that it would look like a wall, right? So when the Japanese people came, they didn't know that there were people like behind whatever it was that they thought was a wall, like it was a false wall. So this is how they escaped them, and they were there for a while. Just imagine that, bro. This book is so intense that when I was reading it, I was imagining myself. Oh, myself? What are you saying? I was imagining myself, like I was putting myself in their shoes. Not even myself in their shoes. I was like imagining myself to be them at that point in time. I was just trying to like imagine what it must have felt like. Is this the drug I'm talking about? No, bruh. Come on. What are you saying? So, what is this the drug I'm actually talking about? Is this what I actually want for me to have that feeling? What the fuck are you doing? Nothing. Consider what you're saying. Anyway, so I'm always imagining myself what it feels like to be those people. You understand? So, when they were there for a while, They've been there for a while, like behind that false wall for a while. And then one of the guys suddenly came up with this stupid plan. This stupid plan that he actually does not know what Japanese people look like. Just imagine. Just imagine your whole generation as in laid the foundation for you to be there, and this is your excuse that you don't know what the Japanese people look like and you want to see. Bro, when this is exactly like a movie. You cannot tell me. It's like this is where movies get that this is a trope in a movie, basically. We all know this trope when people are hiding from either zombies or aliens or something. There's always that one person, that Judas there that want to fuck everything up. There's always that one person that wants to decide that there is somewhere that he can go to, or there is something that he can do because he's James Bond. There is always that one person in that movie. We all know that. Everybody knows that, right? So this guy comes up with this plan. This is not a movie. This is real life. Real, actual life. If you get one shot, you're dead. You understand? Like, there's no do-over. Like, there's nothing again. It's not a simulation. This is real life. My man comes up with a notion. He comes up with a notion that he wants to see what the Japanese people look like. What? Why? Why now? Why now? Do you understand? Why now? Why is that? Why now? When we were making the wall, why didn't you choose? Why didn't you choose that time to want to know what the Japanese people look like? You said you've heard that they look like Chinese people, but you want to be sure, bro. This is the part where so you want to jeopardize my safety so that you can see. God, so that you can see what the Japanese people that are bayoneting soldiers and cutting babies out of pregnant women and boiling the babies in putting the babies in boiling water and then pouring using the gasoline pipe now when you go to a filling station, like putting pipe in the stomach of the babies and pumping gasoline to the baby water till the babies exploded, and beheading people competing in a competition. It's like you have heard of all of that and you want to go and see what? Because normally in a movie, I think maybe everybody will kill him, but because this is real life, they actually allow. Because I told you that it's so unbelievable, you have to believe it. It's like they now actually allowed him. Okay, you want to see? All right, go now. They brought down the wall, and then when he passed, they put the wall back up, and they put the wall back up. But I imagine that there would have been like a tiny hole where they can look through to see what's happening, right? So this guy actually goes out, right, and then to his surprising amazement, he sees where they're beheading people, and then he decides to like hide inside the dustbin. And inside the dustbin, there was another Chinese person in the dustbin. And then all of a sudden, the Chinese person gets beheaded. And then they tell him to like come out. And then ask him to like join the queue of people being beheaded. Bruh, according to what this guy was saying, they were beheading people. God. They were cutting people. And nobody, like the prisoners, the captured people, were more than the Japanese people that were cutting people's head. Like, let's say, there were like 100 captured people and like 40 or like 30, to be conservative, like 30 Chinese soldiers cutting people's head off. And nobody did, like everybody was just standing there. Nobody fought, nobody like tried to revolt, nobody like tried to make any move. Nobody did anything. Everybody was just like like those people that I saw on Facebook. Everybody just accepted their fate, and I don't know, they just accepted their fate basically. And they were just chopping people's heads off, like chopping people's head, and they had swords. You know how Japanese swords are now? Like all those fucking samurai swords. They had it. And they were just like removing people's heads. And then according to the guy, he said it was only one woman that, bro, I think episode is going to be this episode is going to be like 2 hours long. It will be like my first 2 hour long episode. So anyway, as in the woman was the only one that revolted, and she was pregnant. And then she was like, she tried to like fight them, and they eventually shot her, obviously, and killed her. And um it got to a point where like they got tired of like chopping people's heads off. They started slashing necks. So the guy in front of him, it was his, as in they slashed his neck, and but they were doing it so fast that when they slashed the guy's neck, the guy fell back on the guy narrating the story, and they both fell into the pit of dead bodies, and nobody saw anything. You understand? Nobody saw anything, bro. Just imagine yourself as him. Like, imagine, just put yourself in him, as in his shoes. Like, imagine that you're having that experience. It's like, bro, did they see me? God damn, bro, you must be scared. Did this? You had to be like 50,000 beats per second. Did they see me? What is next? Like, how lucky are you? Like, how lucky? Like how lucky can you be? So luckily for him, they didn't see him, and later they left, but they left only one soldier, and the work of that soldier was to like restab everybody that they had really killed. But the guy was too lazy to do the job. He was just bayoneting people, randomly bayoneting people. And the guy narrating the story was like, he was caught like 5 times, and then he passed out. And then when he woke up, it was his friends that had told, it was his friends, his neighbors that were behind that false wall that actually went back to look for him, and then they found his body, and he was still breathing, and then they brought him back to the place and sealed. I mean, those guys must be like fucking angels. They might either be dumb as hell, or they might be fucking angels. Who knows? One of the two. So, like, they found the guy back, and that was how he like lived. Bro, that is the proverbial "I lived to tell the tale." Like, that is the main one. When you hear "I lived to tell the tale," that is what they're talking about. So yeah, he told that story, and he was just, and as in, these are just stories and the narration of people, that the witnesses and the survivors that got affected by the Chinese mauling of the Japanese, the Japanese mauling of the Chinese people in World War II. And another thing again is that, according to the book, right? In fact, according to history, not even the book, we all believe that World War II started in 1940. 1942. What? So yeah, that's where we think World War II. That's when we think World War II started. But actually, they were already like, it's like an avalanche, right? It had already started earlier, just like COVID-19. We all think COVID-19 started in 2020, but it was actually like late 2019. So yeah, the war started in like for the Japanese people in 1936. You understand? That was when they invaded China, and throughout a period of 6 weeks, bro, they fucked people up in Nanking. They killed people mercilessly, and the story is like, another story again is what they were doing to women. Bro, women suffered the most. Women suffered the most, because not only did they like mentally and like metaphorically rape them, they actually fucking raped people. It's like they were raping people left and right. Children, teenagers, babies, adults, old women, like they were fucking people up anyhow. And the stories are nasty. The stories are fucked up. It's like, there's this one of the stories where like they went into a house, the mother was cooking, and then they attacked, and then they killed the father, because he was like, "Don't rape my wife," and then they raped the woman and then shot her, and then they had an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So bruh. Jesus Christ. And they were all girls. And they were all fucking girls. So they hid the 4-year-old in the blanket, and then the 6-year-old and the 8-year-old, bro. God. Oh, I cannot say it with my mouth. But the fuck, just just imagine, try to imagine for yourself how far they would have gone with those girls. Like, imagine how monstrous and how what kind of evil they would have done to those girls. I cannot, like, see, they bro, bro, come on. As in, I cannot say it, bro. I cannot. I want to say it too. I want to say it. Like, I really, actually, really want to say it, but I don't. As in, my mouth cannot like make it. As in, my muscles cannot move in that way to say it. What I was reading, but at the end of the day, um, at the end of the day, the the 4-year-old that was inside under the blanket, who and like the 4-year-old that was under the blanket, she suffocated and had brain damage, but she lived, and she was fucked up for the rest of her life. You understand? But she lived, emphasis on lived. But those girls, after they found them, like the blood on the table where they found them, like it was like 4 days later. Imagine being under a blanket for 4 days. I mean, and you're alive, and you're 4 years old. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's a fucking miracle, right? But 4 days later, when like they found them, when the villagers found them, um, not even, yeah, the people that had the balls to come back to the village found them. Um, the blood on the table where the two girls were was still wet. That is showing how, bro. Come on, man. That's fucked up, man. That's fucked. That's too much. That's too much, man. God damn. That is just one of the stories. Another story again was one where the girl, as in, I don't even know how to start it. I don't even know how to start it. But just imagine being r- like, imagine the top hole and bottom hole just tearing and becoming one. Oh, and becoming one. So anyway, yeah, that happened. And not even, they were not just like raping them; they were sodomizing them, like putting in like what's it called, bayonets in their vaginas, poles, bottles, fucking guns, even for as forcing sons to like have sex with their mothers, and if they refuse, like they kill them. It's like, bro, it was just organisms doing what organisms do best. Um, it was fucked up. It was fucked up basically, and yet another thing again that always gets me is, yet there are still people like there's still people that there are still heroes in that story. There'll always be heroes, obviously, but it's just it's just where you find these heroes. Like, that's it. That is the main thing. Where you find heroes. Like, there will always be people will that will restore your faith in humanity. Imagine, try to imagine this for a second. Just imagine with me for a second. A kind, imagine imagine the juxtaposition of what I'm just about to say. You understand? Imagine how polarly opposite the how just um what's it called, idiotic they sound together. A kind Nazi. Someone walks into your bar and tells you that he has a story, and he says, a kind, I'm about to tell you the story of a kind Nazi. He starts with a kind Nazi that helps um Chinese people, that saves Chinese men and women from a Japanese army. In, I don't know how they're forcing how they put it. They put it in such an eloquent way that it's funny and also makes sense, and also true and also odd and weird, but funny at the same time and true. Like an unusual, basically, a kind Nazi helping um Chinese men fight Japanese army in China. So just imagine that for a second. Imagine there's this guy, there's this Nazi officer that was assigned to China, and his name was John Rambe. Rest my nigga John Rambe. So this guy's name is John Rambe. Imagine, and he's a Nazi from Germany, and he's like being, imagine a high ranking officer that they had to send to that, like fucking, maybe they probably were annoyed with him because of how nice of a person he must have been back in Germany, and so they just decided to like ship him to China so they won't have to deal with him. Maybe probably that's what happened though. But anyway, this guy was so nice that he was like, because he has this because back then Germany and Japan were like kind of allied, right? We're kind of allied. I'd not say they were, but we are kind of allied. And so the Japanese people already recognized the Führer. Like that's they already recognized like Hitler, right? So they didn't have the audacity to shoot a Nazi. You understand? No matter the kind of rubbish that they were doing in China back then, like you don't, as in, even so, that was what gave him the morale. That was what gave him the mind, the liver to even do whatever it is that he was doing, right? Because he knew that they wouldn't dare shoot him. They might get mad, they might like threaten him, they might shout and this, but at the end of the day, they won't dare like touch him or they won't dare hurt him. Do you understand? So that was the kind of authority that he had in China as a Nazi, and then it's like he used it for good. Imagine as in having infinite power and then using it for good. That is, I don't know, that's the best I can say. So anyway, he was like harboring Chinese people anywhere that they are raping a Chinese. Like, bro, the guy did not rest. He did not rest. He only had his Nazi uniform, his Nazi armband, and his German name and his German accent, and that was all he had. That was his weapon. And anywhere that there is trouble, anywhere he sees people on the road, they'll call him. He will rush there. He will stop the Japanese people from committing whatever it is, whether it's rape, whether it's pillaging, whether it's like beheading people, whether it's like boiling people in boiling people in like crude oil. Bro, the guy was just being a fucking hero, man. He was being a fucking hero, and he saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives, if you ask me. From what I read in the book, he saved a lot of lives, and to this day, I think there's even a monument of him in China because of how much of a hero he was to. I think I was saving people's lives wherever it is, and he did not rest. That's just one of the things. He did not rest. Like, I always imagine that, you know how, I always imagine, all these like Marvel movies, right? All these like fucking Marvel movies and DC movies and stuff. All these superhero movies. I love superheroes. I love them a lot. In fact, my favorite superhero has always been and will always be Superman, right? Because obviously, I don't know, my weird brain, I don't think if I start explaining why Superman is my favorite superhero, I don't think, like, I don't want to talk about that one, but yeah, that's it. So, but one thing that I don't like about superhero movies, regardless of how unrealistic they already are, you understand? One thing I don't like is that they always fight like superficial, larger than life, comical, obviously comical people like aliens from other planets and like demons and like fucking mad science. There's always, okay, for example, now I know they're now making Superman, the Superman law more like realistic. In fact, for this recent Batman movie we had was a lot more grounded, realistic kind of Batman. You know, it's not that fantastical and superhero-ish. You understand? It's more grounded and more realistic. So that's what they're now trying to like do with these movies that are coming out now, right? Because, for example, let's say one good example would be like the Aquaman suit. Like his suit in the movie is vastly in fact, Aquaman in the movie is vastly different from how he is in the comics. So yeah. So just imagine that for a second. So what one of the things I don't like is how they make the villains like just absurd and out of like real out of this spectrum of reality. Like this can never happen, right? But in but but yet the humans are still going through problems. Like there's still corrupt governments, there's still like evil people that exist, there's still like just evil in the world, like actual humanistic evil in the world, regardless of how bad it might be, still like humans evil. You understand? So then they leave all of that rich potential for great storytelling, and instead they write about you Superman punching this. Like Superman can lift a whole planet, but write a story of him like trying to his might should not be. What's the difference? What's the opposite of esoteric? Well, let's use another word. His might should not be physical. His might should have to be intellectual or emotional, or like as in he has to be pushed to his limits of, as in his test for of humanity. Do you understand? So this is what these people, bro. I don't know what I'm even talking about. This is what these people like John Rambe were doing. Like this is what I mean when I say these are superheroes. Like, yeah, you can be a superhero that can lift cars and lift buildings, but we don't need you fighting fucking aliens and fucking people with like magic and stuff. We need you to solve humanity's problem. You understand? And stop world government and stop corruption, corrupt politicians, and stop injustice and stop forced imprisonment and stuff like that. That's what comic book writers and movie writers should do if they want to. Like, look at the boys. Look at the boys, for example. That is like the closest you can get to realistic superhero movies. Do you understand? Because of how flawed, like because of how Superman likes to like claim that he's this flawless person that can never kill, but he put his hand through Joker's chest because Joker killed Lois, no, killed Superman's wife. He put his hand through, and like, yeah, I like the character of Joker. By the way, I just saw clips of the new Joker movie coming out, and the sad part is that it's coming out next year. These Hollywood people have to understand that they cannot just keep something that far away. Do you understand? Like, do you know that there are people that will never see GTA 6 because, like, there are people that are waiting for GTA 6 and they waited so long, and GTA 6 has taken so long that people that have been waiting for it have died. Literally, have died. And not everybody that is anticipating the Joker 2 coming out next year. Is it like April next year? What kind of problem is that? Not everybody. I think it's April if I'm not mistaken. But next year, not everybody's going to make it to next year. So, bro, people need good stories people need to hear good stories to help distract them from life's own story. Do you understand? Like, that's why we crave stories. You understand? That's why we crave stories, and good stories for that matter, because we don't have a lot of time. You understand? We don't have a lot of time, and we don't know when it might. We don't know when our time will be up. So we just have to like make the best out of it, no matter in any way that we can. So one of the best superheroes that will go down in history would be a kind-hearted Nazi helping Chinese people fight Japanese soldiers in World War II. Who was it? In China. So that's one of the people that will go down as one of the goats in history. So the second person again would be forgetting her name, but there's this woman who she's an American from, is it Ohio or Idaho? I don't know. And then she was like working as a principal. Yeah, okay. There are three. There's this. Okay, listen. There are three of them. The Nazi, the principal, and the pregnant woman. These are the three stories that stood out to me um in that book. Like the Nazi, the school principal, and the fucking pregnant woman. Bro. So after I've talked about how John Rambe, the Nazi, like how he helped people, how he like was like going on like basically a campaign to like save people's lives. So then this woman who was like a school principal, um, she an American, she's an American, but she was like a school principal in China, and she she like had there's this neutral zone, no conflict zone, where people were being taken in and to be protected by the international community, like of doctors, teachers, like fucking officers, diplomats from other countries and stuff like that. And so, but the Japanese people were like they didn't respect it, and this is that, and that's a war crime. Like that's a war crime. Like imagine humanity being so conscious of itself that it's it develops rules for, as in the extent of our evil is so vast that humanity is conscious enough to understand it and also try to look for a means to curtail it, even though it knows it's inevitable. It's like your roof is about to cave in because there's so much water. The water is going to spill on the floor, but if you can get before it like caves in, if you can get like a bat or like something that can like mitigate the problem of your roof caving in, at least it's inevitable, but you can like slow it down a little bit. So this is basically what humanity has done. Like imagine we go to war, but then the imagine war being like a football game, and then what can get you a red card is crimes against humanity. Like we impose like that limitation on ourselves. Like don't for just kill soldiers only. Men, women, and children are not allowed. So I don't know what I'm saying, but I hope it makes sense. Anyway, but China was going against like the deal. The deal is to like kill only soldiers, right? And soldiers that are shooting back at you. That's the deal. And don't touch women, and children, and property and stuff like that. And but then Japan was like going against it and was like killing innocent people. And also there was a demilitarized zone, and also they didn't want to like respect the zone. I don't want to come and start talk. I don't know how to pronounce it, man. So just they didn't want to like respect the zone. That would be a lot of D's. So anyway, they were still like, but this woman was like fending them off all the time, fending them off, doing her best to like fend them off, and they could not do anything to her, even though they were even like disrespecting the American flag, and even though they tried their best to like they beat her, they like spit on, but they never like even there was even one time one according to her, the thing she regrets most is that the Chinese they came to her sorry the Japanese soldiers came to her and asked her that there might be girls in the amongst that she's harboring that are government sanctioned prostitutes for the soldiers, and they have to like is within their rights for them to like fish them out. And according to her, how they figured out who was a prostitute was like, as in nobody could, as in even I cannot guess. So anyway, they got out some girls, and what she regrets the most is that she allowed them to take those girls. So that's one of the things she regrets the most. So this is a flawed superhero, because obviously superheroes they might be superheroes, but they have flaws also. So this is one of that example I was trying to like explain before, that superheroes don't have to be like these higher than life people that are perfect and just like Superman. They also have to have flaws. That's what makes the story interesting. So So this was one of the regrets that this woman had. But at the end of the day, like, she saved a lot of lives also, right? She saved a lot of people from being raped, from being tortured, from being like burnt alive. Bruh, she didn't rest. Like, oh yeah, yeah. There's also a fourth person I forgot. The Nazi, the principal, the doctor, and the pregnant woman. So just imagine, just to cut the long story short, just imagine that what this woman did, the doctor also did in his own case in a medical way. Like, he was treating patients for free, he was like helping them, was like harboring them in his hospital. And there was even one, they even had to like call, because the Chinese, one man was like mixing them. The Japanese people were like shelling the hospital, bombing the hospital. They had to like cover the windows of the hospital to dark, as in paint over the windows of the hospital, so they cannot spy into what is going on in the hospital, and then they won't be able to like bomb them or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, and then there was one time where some shady looking guy came into the hospital and was now asking the patients where they keep asking the patient weird questions, and where I don't know, suspicious questions, and they noticed it. I was like, who is this guy? Where are you from? Why are you asking all these weird questions? So they had to like, that's I imagine that they had to treat his fuck up. So this is what was happening. So this guy was helping people, and he was the doctor that treated the girl that her private parts got torn. I don't like think of that again. Anyway, so he was treating a lot of people too, as in even they call him the only surgeon of Nanking, because all the other doctors like made up excuses. One was like, my daughter is sick, I have to take care of my daughter. So all the other doctors made up excuses and left Nanking. He was the only surgeon left in Nanking that treated a lot of people. So, and then the story of the pregnant woman. So this girl grew up in a family where her mother had died when her mother died at childbirth, and then she had like 3 brothers, and she grew up with her father, and they all were either either in the military or in the police, or they taught kung fu. So this is where she grew up in. She's a Chinese girl, so this is how she grew up. So when she was recounting her story, she said that her father never wanted her to learn kung fu because of how wild her spirit was, because he was scared that she's going to beat all the children in the village and stuff. So she didn't learn kung fu. And so she got married, and then when she was pregnant, her husband left for the war, and then the Japanese people came. And so when they were like gathering women, she was like, she's not going to allow them to take her alive. She's not going to allow them to do that kind of bullshit to her. So she tried to like kill herself. So she banged her head on the wall and then passed out. So they thought she was dead. So they left her. And then when she woke up, she saw that there was blood all over her face, and then it was like a basement. She found herself, she did that stuff in a basement, and so they left her there thinking she's dead. So when she woke up, she was with some other girls that had also somehow hidden, and then she heard the footsteps of the Japanese soldiers coming down the like stairs, and then they captured the remaining girls. And when they wanted to take her, bro, she fought them. She fought these niggas. She fought the Japanese soldiers, 2 of them, and she was taller than them, bigger than them. Fought the soldiers. Imagine a pregnant woman. Imagine you being a Japanese soldier with your bayonet and your guns and everything, and there's another Japanese soldier, your teammate, also with his own gun and his own bayonet and his own like sword, and both of you are being beat. Both of you are being mauled by a Chinese pregnant woman. Mauled, beaten, beaten the fuck off by a pregnant woman, for that matter. But they got better. They got the best of her because they are stabbing her, they were slashing her, they were doing everything to her. Cut her face, but she beat the fuck out of them until they caught her until she passed out, and they thought she died, so they left her. Then it was when the villagers now came and like took her body to her father, and her father was like, okay, let them bury her because he thought she was dead. So somebody now noticed that she was breathing, like the blood on her nose was like foaming. So she was breathing, bro. That was how they rescued. That was how she would have been buried alive. Oh fuck! And a lot of people were buried alive, bro. Even this book, what's the name of the book? I don't. Yeah, there's another book I was reading also about the extent of man's inhumanity to man. The name of the book is Ordinary Men. Ordinary Men by Christopher. What's his name again? Christopher Browning. Ordinary Men. Well, I don't want to keep talking. I don't want to like extend the talk. That one also, like I said before, like I always read books about World War II and what the Nazis did. Like I just don't know why I enjoy those books a lot. So anyway, so yeah, in the book, the point I was trying to make is that in the book Ordinary Men, the Nazis dug a hole and they were burying Chinese people. They were burying Jews alive, and when they covered the hole, like the ground was breathing because, bro, imagine the ground breathing because, imagine the ground breathing because there are people trying to claw their way out, and people trying to gasp for air. So fucking. Well, that's so fucking. What's the word now? It's not claustrophobic, bro. What the fuck am I talking about? That's so fucking claustrophobic, man. I hate I'm claustrophobic as fuck. I don't like tight spaces, my nigga. What the fuck, bro? I don't like tight spaces at all. It's like I don't like it at all. When I just imagine myself, as in when I just know that is my room 101. Everybody has their room 101. If you can remember in the book, I'm always referencing 1984. It's like Winston's own room 101. Like your worst fear is what awaits you in room 101. And if Big Brother is listening, he knows now that what awaits me in my room 101 is a tight space. God damn, that would be fucked up. So yeah, that's what happened in the book. Like the ground was breathing. So that is basically the same thing the Japanese people were doing to the Chinese people. So a lot of people were buried alive. That's basically what I'm saying. No, but in this case, they are actually like jump inside the grave, jump inside. Let's cover you. Let's see what will happen. At least for the Nazis, they killed them first, and some of them were like, but it was a very blunt kind of mass suicide, mass murder. You understand? But in the case of the Japanese, they were like, we're not going to touch you, just jump inside. Let's cover you and see what happens. So yeah, it was more brutal and more fucked up. So that was how this lady was saved, because that was how this lady escaped being buried alive, because the blood on her nose were like foaming. They are producing bubbles. So like they noticed that she was still breathing, luckily for her. So, and then she lived to tell that tale. So these are the heroes of Nanking, in my opinion, the heroes of Nanking. And like at the end of the day, you know how in stories they always live happily ever after, right? But in reality, it doesn't always happen like that. Like in reality, it doesn't always happen like that. The principal, she, after the war, like when she left Nanking in 1943, I think, she offed herself. She killed herself The doctor, he died of, I don't know, he's yeah, heart attack. He died of heart attack. The lady, sorry about that. The pregnant woman lost her baby. She miscarried, obviously, of course, and she was scarred and depressed for the rest of her life. But luckily, she remarried. Not that she remarried. Luckily, her husband came back and they had children, and she was lucky enough to tell her story. You understand? That was. Th- I'm glad that that happened. And as for John Rambe, bruh, his own was like the most heartwarming. Yes, I understand that in reality we don't always get a happy ending. But and that is why we invent stories with like satisfying ending, because like it gives us this sense of closure, this sense of like oneness. You understand? Like because we know that life is uncertain, and so we crave certainty. You understand? We know that, oh, despite them going through all this adversity, despite them going through all this suffering, despite them going through all this much, we know that at the end, we get to see that they live happily ever after. That's why we tell stories that end with characters learning from their mistake, characters being transformed, characters being mature, characters living happily ever after, characters like just like winning. Do you understand? Being successful. So, but rarely, once in a while, it happens in reality. Like it happens in reality. Like in the case of John Rambe, it was like, so when he went back to, because he at the time when he was in China, he was sending, like, imagine him being so naive and being so kind-hearted and good-willed and altruistic, that he was even writing letters to Hitler and telling Hitlers of the atrocities that was going on in China, not knowing that Hitler was doing even in way worse, or matching up with what Hitler was even learning in what, well, Hitler was like matching their energy. You understand? He didn't even know that that was going on. He was writing letters to Hitler for Hitler to come and help the people of China. He didn't know that Hitler was fucking people up way back in Germany, and yeah, in Germany and Poland and all the rest. So this was how kind and altruistic this and good good intention this man was. But at the end of the day, after everything had happened, when he went back to Germany, he was he was persecuted, basically. Like when he sent another letter to Hitler while in Germany, and then the Gestapo, I don't even know how to pronounce them. The Gestapo police came and like they arrested him, took him, and they were like interrogating him. Like the guy went through hell in Germany. He was ostracized. He was poor. Him and his like granddaughter and his wife and his family, they were like just poor. They were eating. They were like suffering. The guy, he was sick, bro. As in, imagine being such a that much of a hero in a faraway land where people loved you, people adored you, like, and you helped people. You had purpose, like you had true purpose, and then you come back home and then you're being treated less than a dog. So this is how they were treating the guy. And then somehow the news now got to Japan that this guy was suffering, that he did not have money to buy bread. Like he had to start selling, because when he was leaving China, they gave him a lot of stuff like pictures, like ceramic and all those silverware and stuff like that. So he even had to start selling all those things to be able to buy spoiled potatoes. Oh, these some spoiled potatoes, bro. So anyway, when the people of China heard that their savior, the savior of Nanking, was suffering in Germany, bro, they came through for my nigga. Like they came through for him. They gave him, bro. They gave him the equivalent. Imagine giving somebody $2,000 back in 1945 or 44. $2,000, and they came for the gig. He came true for him. Like when I was reading that part, like it literally, as in, I've never read a book that actually made me tear up. Do you understand? Like I've never read a book that actually made me tear up, like emotionally. I don't think I've ever read a book that no, I don't think that has ever even happened to me, or I don't think that I never thought that that was even actually possible for me to read something that will make me tear up. You understand? I might read something, it might be heartwarming, it might be heartfelt, it might be funny, it might be like sad or something emotional, but I don't think that it has ever gotten to the point where it like made me actually tear up. It's like I was surprised that when I was reading about how they came through for him, like they brought him cheese, they brought him rice, they brought him beef, many things, and they sent him $2,000. Bro, they even gave him a house in China and told him that he should come back to China, that he's going to live in the house free, he's going to he's going to have a pension, bro. They came through for him 100%. So, but he didn't go back to China actually. But at the end of the day, he lived happily ever after. Rarely that happens. I mean, the measure you give is the measure you receive, right? There's this analogy that my housemate made one time. He was talking about because he used to mark exam papers, and so he said that like basically he was talking about the measure you give being the measure you receive. He says that there are people that the examiners know are very intelligent, right? Like they are genuinely intelligent. And then there are people that the examiners know are, daft. And those daft people will bribe the examiners for them to pass. Right? Good. Are you with me? Right. Okay. So the examiners will collect the money and give them a mark that they can pass with. But that mark will never be higher than the people that are higher than the marks of the people that are genuinely fucking smart and intelligent, book smart, right? So that's just basically it. So to tie it back to what I was talking about concerning John Rambe, not Rambo, John Rambe, the amount of good that he did in the world was the amount of good that came back to him. You understand? Like he did that much good in the world. It's not in all cases, because these other people also did good, but some of them died died helplessly. So, but well, sometimes it happens. This is a rare case. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Like this is a rare case, and at the end of the day, he actually lived happily ever after until he died of not bone cancer, but basically cancer. Yeah. So that's the story of the four heroes of Nanking: the Nazi, the school principal, the doctor, and the pregnant woman. And these are some of just what the one of the good things that happened during one of the bearable things, should I say, because the war was so fucking blood. No, it's not even a war. It was just like genocide. You understand? It was just genocide basically, and. So, at the end of the day, Japan didn't want to admit they were, as in, even though the evidence was there was is this some insurmountable evidence? There was concrete evidence that of all the things that and all the lengths. See, bro, truth will always prevail. That is what people have to understand. It might be bitter truth, but it's still truth. Do you understand? It might be embarrassing truth, but it's still truth. Do you understand? As long as it is truth, regardless of how long it takes. I mean, we find bones of dinosaurs to tell the truth that at one point in time, giant animals used that's the evidence. Do you understand? No matter how long it takes, the truth will always come out. Do you understand? It will always come out. Like people, the photographers that were photographing and the filmmakers that were taking in evidence of all the atrocities that was happening in Nanking, they had to sew in in the the helm of their like jackets and stuff. They had to like sew in the film inside of it. They had to like hide it. They had to like, bro, the extent that they went through to hide a video of Japanese soldiers uh doing competition of beheading people. Like, bro, I don't even know how to explain it. As in, they had to hide, bro. Yeah, I cannot even start going into it, bro. Like, I cannot even start going into it. The evidence, the what they went through to hide, to protect that truth, so that at the end of the day, when the Japanese people are summoned into the international courts of, I've forgotten what that the name of that court is, to answer for their war crimes, that truth will always come out. That truth will have to come out, bro. And it came out, and yet they showed all the people that they were killing. They showed all the atrocities that they committed. They showed the villages, the people that they burnt inside their huts. They showed everything, but till today, the Japanese people don't want to admit that it happened. As in the story, the story, it's the twist and turn too much, because it is reality. Do you understand? You think that, oh, there'll be quick vindication for these people, but nope, that's not how reality works. You don't always get a happy ending in reality. It's like even the Chinese people now, because of how they now saw how economically beneficial it to be to like join the Japanese, now allied with the Japanese people, and the imagine being one of the victims that survived, and then you're hoping that your government will vindicate you, and then you hear that your government said they have forgiven the Japanese people for what they did and they have now allied with them. How will you feel? How will you feel? Like, imagine being that little girl that suffocated for 4 days under a blanket, and then when she was now already old, she heard that the Chinese people have, and then she's just there, brain dead, sitting down, being spoon fed or straw fed, and then she heard that the Chinese government have forgiven the Japanese government, and she cannot even move her body to be mad. It is just her soul shouting inside her fucking body. Her soul trying its best to control the muscles so that the muscles can move and show that it is mad, but it is unable to because her body is dead and it's just her soul stuck in this dead body. Fuck! What the fuck is that? She's just mad and angry and but she cannot do anything because she's brain dead. Oh boy. What the hell, man? Reality is fucking metal, man. So the Chinese people forgive Japanese people just like that, because it is because money is involved. Because money is involved. Well, that's how it happened. And these people, the only vindication they got was the writer of this story, Iris Cheng. She went back to China and she started interviewing survivors. That's how we got to know about this. Nobody knows about the rape of Nanking. You know about what happened to the Jews, don't you? You know about what happened in Rwanda, right? You know, I'm very sure you know about what happened in India also, right? Where like about how many 6 million Indians were murdered by Pakistanis, right? You know that. I'm sure some of us, but do you know about Nanking? Do you know that from 1936 to 1945, that the Japanese military killed 19 million fucking Chinese people? Do you fucking know that? Fucked 19 million people up. An estimate of 19 million people. How many people did Hitler kill? How many? 6 million Jews. Do you know that the Japanese people fucked up 19 million Chinese people in a period of 9 years? Equivalently, fucking 1.1. I don't know. I don't what. So this is what happened, and we don't know about it. And the only way we know about it is because some brave writer, who her parents were telling her this thing, were telling her the story of Nanking when she was a little girl, but she forgot about it. And then when she grew up, she kind of heard of it again and decided that, you know what, let me just research this stuff and see what these people are talking about. The rape of Nanking, the what happened in Nanking in during World War II. And then she like finds this vast fucking story of how far man, how much evil man can do to his fellow man. So that's basically what happened. That's me trying to see. That's me talking about where it is now for me. You understand? I know I said before that the greatest evil that man can commit is ending his bloodline. I know I said that one, but that's not. I know I said that one, but let's not just go back. That is, yeah, it's there. It's there, right? Like it's there, but it's not there like what the Japanese people did to the Chinese people. It's not there. Do you understand? Because yet they don't. Because do you know why it's not there? They don't even want to agree. Imagine hurting someone so bad, and there's evidence that you hurt the person so bad, but you're denying it. Like we saw you on 4K, bro. You're on fucking 8K. We saw you do it, but you don't want to agree. So even though we kill you, like you are just we did not agree. You did not agree. So that's just, and again, and you know what? That's now made me start seeing Japan under a different light. It's like anytime from when I finish reading the book, anytime I hear about Japan, I don't used to get as excited. See, there's this new anime that is coming out. It's like a new take on Initial D, right? And it's about cars also. Like I've been expecting this since, but but now I'm not feeling it. I don't like anime again. I don't like anything I hear about Japan. Anytime I'm maybe like for example now, a few days ago I was I was watching some stuff. There's this new giant comic book mall, I suppose, that they opened in Japan, where like everything, I don't know, just comic book world basically. But I'm not feeling it. You understand? Like anything in Japan now, I'm not feeling these people, man. So just just apologize. Just apologize. Okay, do you know? According to the book, Germany has spent like, let's say, about 6 billion in reparations to what they did to the Jews. I think about 6 billion. I might be wrong, 6 or 16. I might be wrong, but the Japanese people have not spent shishi, because first of all, they were making the excuse that first of all they didn't do anything. Secondly, they are not financially capable of like repaying the Chinese people back, and that's the hill that they died on. That's basically the hill that they died on. They don't want, like, but now well, I don't know, man. So that is basically it. That is basically Nanking, the rape of Nanking, one of the like most fascinating books I've ever read. And the book is so soaked in the blood of humanity that the writer actually committed suicide. It's like, I don't know, maybe because of how her depiction of how cowardly the Chinese people were, and then the criticism she got from it, or because of how much troubled she was because the Japanese people didn't want to apologize or admit what they did, or just because of how fucked up the stories are and the nightmares. Even one of the journalists was saying that he gets like people were having PTSD. Obviously now PTSD is like a short thing. So I don't know if those are the factors that made her like off herself. You understand? But she actually, see, the book is dark. I told you that there is no happy ending, bro. There is no happy ending in reality, and the sooner we come to terms with that and make peace with that, well, the easier. Like, it's not going to be. I mean, even if you brace yourself for a fucking truck to hit you, no matter how much you brace yourself, it's still going to hurt. So yes, let us brace ourselves with the fact that, bruh, there is no happy ending. Just accept it. But it's still going to hurt too, but just still accept it. Do you understand? Just take it. So at the end of the day, she offed herself, she killed herself, and yeah. But some light at the tunnel, like there is this monument of her And I don't know, man, just some obscure fucking nonsense that doesn't mean anything. So yeah, that's that about that. But another thing again I want to talk about is I told you that this thing is going to be about 2 hours long. I'm tired though, but I just want to like make this quick points. Here we go. Try to think of the story. These are the stories that have been documented, right? That we know of. You know how they always say that Elon Musk is not the wealthiest man in the world. He's the wealthiest man in the world that we know of. We know of. You understand? The wealthiest, we don't know whether it's Putin. We don't know whether it's Paul Biya. We don't know whether it's Tinubu. You understand? We don't know whether it's fucking Donald Trump. Or we don't even know whether it's Kim Jong-un. Do you understand? We don't even know if it's Dan. No, it's not Dan Gote. So anyway, we don't, probably Putin, right? Or probably the Vatican. So, these gnarly stories that but that is basically the idea or the logic behind these gnarly stories that we've heard of. They are only the ones that we have heard of. You understand? Like imagine, it's like it's like try to think of Jack the Ripper before Ted Bundy. Like the worst that had ever happened was Jack the Ripper, and then we got someone like Ted Bundy, and then went from someone like Ted Bundy to fucking what is his name? Jeffrey Dahmer. You understand? Like you never find the worst. So 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 these we've talked about these stories regardless of how horrible that they are, but these are the stories that we know of, right? Now think of the ones that we don't know of, like from the beginning of time, till now. Think of you know how they say that history is usually written by the victors, right? And obviously the victors want to paint themselves as the good guys. But think of histories and think of events in life that are that were never documented and were never seen or witnessed and were never like nobody, there was no witness. You know how they say when if a tree falls in the forest, did it make any noise? And if you say yes, then like how do you know? Like the only time you know that things make noise is when you're there to witness them making noise. Even if you set up a camera and then leave, like you're still seeing it. But what if when you're not there, how do you know that it makes noise? Like how do you know that it makes a sound? Right? If a tree falls down, like how do you know? How do you really know that it makes a sound? So there are horrible things, obviously, like it has to happen. It is mathematically impossible for it not to have happened at least once. Look at all the stories that we have in this life. Look at all the fucking complex things that you can never imagine, kind of stories that are happening in this life. And you're trying to tell me that something like that has never happened, that's something so horrible, so repulsive, so abhorrent, so monstrous, like so evil, like something so hellish and so demonic and so, like, for lack of a better term, satanic, that someone would have done to somebody else, and he actually got away with it. Like you know, in the book The Republic, you know how Socrates talks about injustice. You understand? Then in the eyes of the gods, that would be justice, because it would be so, it would be so out of this world that he got so good at it that he actually got away with it. So then that's being justice, like according to what Socrates was talking about, right? Yeah, and then no, there was no witness, like he got away with it, and that story will never be told because we don't know what happened, and there was no consequence. That stuff like that has happened, bro. Like I am 100% sure that stuff like that has happened. At least so, like we talk about how we fucked ourselves up in Africa, how the fucking Mongols were, how Genghis Khan and his giant army were going from one country to another, fucking people up, wiping people up. We talked about how the Romans fucked up the Jews for like a long time. We talked about how like the British and the Americans fought. We talked about the kind of atrocities that the Americans did to the like the Europeans did to the Native Americans. Like there's so we have done humanity have like think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they can become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Like all around the world, we have fucked ourselves up. We have done evil to each other. You understand? And in all that evil, it has happened somewhere, at least in one place in this world, that somebody got away with unspeakable cosmic evil. Like the kind of evil that's H.P. Lovecraft writes in his book. Now multiply that by 1,000. It's that somebody committed and got away with it. That exists. I mean, right now there are like thousands of serial killers. You understand? That they have not yet caught. That have human heads in their fucking fridges. That are having dinner of human flesh right now as I'm speaking to you, for real. Like right now there are people on the dark web paying Bitcoin to watch people being tortured and being murdered and being like fucked up. Do you understand? Like right now, if you download Tor and you go on the dark web and you have Bitcoin, you can pay to watch people being fucked up right now. Right now there are people who have kids in there. Like, bruh, there is evil going on in the world. There is evil in this world, and it has no limits. You understand? Evil has no limits, bro. That is all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. There's no moral to the story. There's no nothing. I'm just saying that is it. I'm just like saying it to you. That's all. That's all, bro. We have entered the 2-hour mark, and that's crazy. Anyway, thank you for listening to the podcast, bruh. I've talked for a long time. Thank you for if anybody even dared to stay this long. Thank you for listening to me rant for 2 hours and talk about the craziest thing I've literally ever heard or read about. Literally the craziest thing I've ever read about. Yours might be crazier, I don't know. Yours might be a lot more gnarly, probably. We're all different, but thanks for listening to me talk rant. Don't forget to rate the podcast. That's what matters. That's all that matters. And then also share. When I drop the link, like share it, listen to it and share it. Please, I'm begging you. I just want a lot more people to listen to whatever it is I talk about. And also follow me on Twitter at GeneralPrime1. That's something you can do also. And also on YouTube, GeneralPrime1 2, where I upload my DMZ content. Not every day, but sometimes. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to talk to you guys next week. Thank you for chilling with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears. And I'll talk to you guys next week, hopefully. All right. Bye, everybody.